In the year 180 AD, Maximus Decimus Meridius, a Roman general, was betrayed and condemned to die in the gladiatorial arena. He is a character that many of us know well, thanks to the iconic performance of Russell Crowe in the movie Gladiator. But who was Maximus really? Or rather, who was he intended to represent? You see, Maximus is a fictional character, embodying the countless Roman citizens who were condemned to the gladiatorial games. He is not based on a specific historical figure. In fact, there's no evidence to suggest that a Roman general of such high rank ever faced the brutal fights of the gladiatorial arena during this era. So while Maximus's character provides compelling drama and an engaging storyline, it's important to remember that he is a product of cinematic storytelling, not a figure rooted in historical fact. Maximus, the hero of the movie, is more of a cinematic creation than a historical figure. Commodus, the ambitious and ruthless emperor, ascends to the throne in a rather dramatic fashion. As depicted in the film, Commodus takes power following a brutal betrayal of his own father. His thirst for power seems unquenchable, and his rule is marked by a certain cruel disregard for those beneath him. Now let's take a look at the historical accounts. Commodus did indeed succeed his father, Marcus Aurelius, around the year 180, but the details of this transition are shrouded in mystery. Historians have not found concrete evidence to suggest that Commodus played a part in his father's demise. His reign, while undoubtedly autocratic, differed in many ways from the bloodthirsty dictatorship portrayed on screen. So, while the movie gives us an unforgettable character in Commodus, it's important to remember that the real-life figure was perhaps not as monstrous or as simple as the film suggests. The movie's portrayal of Commodus, while intriguing, may not wholly align with historical records. Commodus' reign was marked by extravagance and disregard for the Roman Senate. The emperor's rule, which spanned from 180 to 192 AD, was indeed a time of unchecked authority and lavish spending. Historical accounts confirm that Commodus often brushed aside the advice of the Senate, favoring instead his own desires and whims. The emperor was known for his grand spectacles and opulent lifestyle, traits that were both admired and scorned by his subjects. There's also a possibility that Commodus was obsessed with his own image. He often portrayed himself as a heroic figure, a god amongst men. His statues, coins, and inscriptions were designed to showcase his power and status. However, it's uncertain how much of this obsession extended to brutal actions against his enemies. While the movie paints him as a ruthless ruler, willing to eliminate anyone who stood in his way, historical records vary in their depiction of his violent tendencies. Now let's turn our attention to the gladiatorial games, a staple of Roman entertainment. The movie portrays these contests as bloodthirsty fights to the death, but reality was more nuanced. Yes, the games were brutal, and yes, they were dangerous. However, they were also about more than just killing. The gladiators were highly trained, their skills honed to a fine point. They were athletes as much as they were warriors, and their battles were as much about strategy and skill as they were about brute force. In short, the gladiatorial games were a complex spectacle of blood and skill, a far cry from the simplistic death matches depicted in the film. The movie simplifies the complexities of Commodus's rule and the gladiatorial games for dramatic effect. While this makes for a compelling narrative, it does a disservice to the intricate realities of Roman history. After all, history is rarely as straightforward as a Hollywood script. While Gladiator is a cinematic masterpiece, it does take liberties with historical accuracy. The character of Maximus, a representation of the suffering Roman citizens, is purely a work of fiction. There is no historical evidence of a high-ranking Roman general being condemned to gladiatorial combat during the era of 180 AD. Commodus, as depicted in the film, is a simplified version of a complex historical figure. While he was certainly ambitious, self-absorbed, and to some extent ruthless, attributing solely negative traits to him oversimplifies history. The gladiatorial games, far from being mere death matches, were a display of skill and athleticism, despite their undeniably brutal nature. The film, while entertaining, condenses the complexities of these contests. Understanding these discrepancies between the film and historical reality is crucial for a deeper appreciation of the Roman Empire and its history.